It'll just be 3, 2, 1. Hello. What?
Opening. I was playing the opening music.
Oh, is that our no? How does our opening sound?
What's the safe word?
That's not far off. I'm gonna sue though for that. I'm suing. I'm suing.
Copyright
I'm suing. Roll the opening. Hello. Welcome back to What's the Safe Word? I'm Amp.
And I'm Blue Bailey.
And today we're going to get legal. We're going to get Spiegel. We're going to get...
Beagles.
We're going to get beagles. I
Yeah,
want a beagle.
I want a
pet beagle.
Daenerys would kill me if I got another dog.
Yes, your dog would literally kill Daenerys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Akaris.
And today, in a lovely form of Ask episode, where we sit down and we talk to someone of our community. We've done a sub, a pet player, a dom, a switch, and today we are doing a lawyer because you passed
The worst one.
Oh, don't. Our good friend Stephan, aka Blue Bailey, not only licensed attorney, but also just a lovely slut that a lovely human friend, and now alleged author of Blue Movie, the brand new book that you can read all about him, but in a fun and really down to earth conversation about being gay, dealing with STDs.
We did a play on the words blue because my poor name is Blue, but also Blue Movie as being kind of like raunchy, perverted, kind of like very much leaning into the dark aspects of my life. I know being queer, like we get to choose our family.
Okay, say it he says with so much sarcasm. So without further ado, Stephan, if you are ready to go, well, let's get into the legal questions that y'all had for us on the social media.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
And on social media, I asked you guys in a Twitter post, do you want to give us an explosion, Stephan? This is the thing where you pretend that you're causing an explosion. Yep, I asked you for all of the legal questions for a licensed professional who's not giving you legal advice.
I'm not.
But is just gonna be legally nice. Put that on a business card.
Legally nice.
Well, maybe not legally. All right. Hold it. Is Legally Blonde your favorite movie?
No, Halloween is, but Legally Blonde is up there.
And can you do a bend and snap?
And snap.
Yeah.
Can I do it now? Oh my God, the bend and snap works every time.
God, we're so gay.
This is baloney.
Our first question today comes from Terrible Lotus, who says, what are some of the most frustrating things as a kinky lawyer regarding sex, laws, rules, and regulations?
I think the immediate thing that comes to mind is Sesta Fosta and kind of relating consensual sex work to non-consensual sex work and sex trafficking. And I think at the heart of that is this misconception, both generally and in the law, that sex workers don't have agency, that there's no consent, that they need to be rescued.
And while I'm not a lawyer or an attorney in any way, shape, or form, I would definitely say the silliest one in my own mind is it is legal to make porn, but it is illegal to be a sex worker doing prostitution. That is the weirdest law on the books, and it only works because in porn, you are it is art. It is a First Amendment.
100%.
That is the only thing that's saving it. Thank you, Larry Flint. Prostitution is obscenity in the law. You are not taking down people's legal paperwork and their job status and like their W-4s. Whereas these sites now, OnlyFans and Just for Fans, whether you realize it, are tracking their models via paperwork, taxes, they have actual consent forms you have to fill out before you can post stuff. And so there is legalese there. There's a lot of paperwork that happens that you don't see, but that's why these people are allowed to do it. And it's not seen as prostitution, but it's seen as pornography and sex work in the legal sense. The more you know. Ooh, this next one is an area I'm not super familiar with. I mean, we all know what cruising is, but Kate asks, what is the realistic legality of public cruising and sex? How much legal trouble can you get in if caught?
This depends where you're at. And a lot of this is municipality, which
Bless you.
Specific city. There's a statute in California that makes it illegal to loiter in a restroom. And that's still on the books today, which means that if you're in a restroom loitering and a police officer's there and he wants to charge you with it, he could. And there's a lot of bias in the police department. Having sex paraphernalia on you is criminal.
Hypothetically then, like having a condom on me just because I'm a safe sex haver at all times could be seen as paraphernalia.
Yes.
Could be probable cause for someone to be like, you're loitering in this bathroom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, in regards to sex, you have to worry about becoming a sex offender. Like,
I rest my case, Your Honor.
and you could be a sex offender for having consensual sex. Two guys hooking up in a park, two guys hooking up too close to a school, you having your dick out to pee on the street could land you with a sex offender charge. And yes, you could try to fight it, but again, if you're moving through the judicial system, you're going to courts.
So to answer your question, Cade, don't get caught, but also legally, we're telling you probably don't go cruising because there are easier ways to find sex nowadays.
No, we're not saying that at all. I go cruising all the time. I love going. If you're going to have sex in public, be very aware. Like when you're in the
allegedly. Next question comes from the Dallas Dogfather, who asks, what's the best way to protect yourself when you engage in impact play that can cause bruising in the event of someone that has regrets later? So, I mean, obviously consent's a thing, duh, but I'm curious on your own background because I don't think there's ever been a case where consent was used for something that could be considered abusive actually held.
I'm going to preface this that at the end of the day, it depends where you live. Different countries, different states, all have different ways in which they define battery. So the legal definition of battery is the intentional infliction of harmful contact to someone else. And harmful is kind of broadly defined. Like, I did this to you. That could technically be considered a battery. If I spit on you, it could be considered a battery. Not to be confused with assault. Assault is the intentional infliction of the fear of a battery. So like me going like this and you seeing it and being afraid, that part's the assault. The second that I touch you, the crime is transformed into battery.
Okay.
So in the context of BDSM, it's causing harmful contact, which is evidenced by the bruising in this question. There's no element of consent in the crime. So if you get charged with battery, you could say it's consensual, but nobody's going to care because it's not part of the crime. It's not even an element to be considered.
But like more recently, I know that the NCSF, or the National Coalition for Sexual Freedom, they're working with the American Law Institute to create a section that is revised the Model Penal Code, or the MPC, on sexual assault itself. And it's supposed to replace old case law that found that consent is not a defense to assault. So it's taking the problem that is, well, we consented to this, that people use, and saying, well, no, did you consent to this, by outlining what consent looks like and what BDSM even looks like when you start to factor in like taking back consent or safe words, or how does restraint and consensual non-consent look, which is such an interesting thing to talk about law and consider because it's not existed before. So while it's not perfect and it's still not quite there, it is something on the horizon that I'm really excited about because it means that we're having these conversations.
I'm excited about this project and like reducing stigma, because if you think about it, the similar action occurs in other contexts. Like think about tattoos. A tattoo, you're literally creating a permanent mark on someone. And it would be absurd for somebody to go and be like, hey, I consented to that at the time. I don't consent to it now. I'm feeling different about it.
Oh, because tattoos
that was battery.
Age and you get pain, and sometimes you make really stupid decisions under a little bit of alcohol or something.
Well, it's just allowing someone to hurt you.
Yeah.
Like it's the act of getting a tattoo is getting hurt by someone.
Arguably, flogging would be less impactful.
I did this to you. Contact sports is you're letting people consensually like hit each other.
Drag is not a contact sport.
It's just not in the context of sex, so it's not stigmatized.
And they're getting paid. But we'll get into that. No, and today's episode is also sponsored by Helix Sleep. So thank you again, Helix, for allowing us a bed to make and then lay in with all of the legal jargon we're about to use. Give me legal words. Go.
Legal words. I object. De novo. I don't know. I don't like being put on the spot.
Now, Helix Sleep has been one of our longest running sponsors here on the channel, and Helix makes it easy for you to find the mattress for you using their Helix Sleep quiz. For you, yourself, or you and a partner. Now again, you can do for one sleeper or two. Enter in their names, their heights, their weights, as well as sleeping positions. So me and Daddy might have different kinds of sleep positions, maybe even firmness preferences. And if you happen to be like us, who are a little older, we do have body aches and pains that we can also specify. Lord knows my knees will never be the same since COVID. But we ended up with a what, Daddy? A dusk?
Lots!
And Daddy, how are you enjoying it?
I love my dust lux. Say that 3 times fast.
Dust lux. Oh,
Dust lux.
Yep. And since getting our mattresses, I've actually never had sleep that was this good. I had an old mattress that had some springs in it, and because Helix has springs and this lovely like cushioning sensation, they're not only the best mattress for sex, but they're just the best mattress to get a good night's sleep.
And before I got this mattress, I had my other mattress for over 10 years.
Plus, Helix not only ships to you very, what, Daddy?
Quickly.
Some scissors or...
Oh my God. I got it.
And when you're ready to really let it inflate. Do not try this at home. What do you do, Daddy?
Ooh, it's the opposite of a vacuum rack. It goes, ready? It's eating me! Whoa!
If you've ever bought a mattress, there is that nagging sensation of like, ooh, is this the right mattress for me? I don't know if I like this. So we especially like that they have what, Daddy?
100-night sleep trial.
So over 3 months for free that you get to try it out. And if you don't like it, you can ship it back and you get a free refund.
And don't forget, Helix has a 10-year warranty.
And they even offer financing options and flexible payment plans. So
If you go to Helix Sleep today and use offer code WATT, you get up to $200 off your mattress and some free pillows on us.
next question from Alonzo asked, what if someone rescinds their consent after a scene?
Ooh.
So we kind of talked about how consent is important already and the frameworks that are trying to change. But I'll take this question and like, let's say the contract question came up a lot too. So this is kind of similar. People are like, well, how are kinky contracts? I watched 50 Shades of Grey. It was great. It was terrible. But I saw this contract thing.
The following are the terms of a binding contract between the dominant and the submissive. The fundamental purpose of this contract is to allow the submissive to explore her sensuality and her limits safely.
Can those hold up in court? Like, is that a way that consent can be put in there?
Oh my God, absolutely not.
Thank you.
Okay.
Done. But what if consent is rescinded? How does the law see that?
Okay, so 2 people have sex. Afterwards, someone changes their mind. I mean, they could prosecute. It will go to court, and then it will basically be he, she, they said against he, she, they said, and the court will determine. And as we know, we need to listen to victims, but also there's this like...
It's a process.
All right, so now let's talk about this in the context of shooting a scene. You shoot a scene, someone changed their mind. Not necessarily, I didn't want to have sex with you, but maybe they're like,
Excuse me?
Hey, I don't want to release that scene, or I don't feel comfortable with this anymore. I mean, as a human to human, consider that if they don't feel comfortable.
Be nice. Don't be an asshole or I'll take you to court.
Releasing the content. But if to protect yourself, this is where the consents and the documentation that you were talking about earlier with Just for Fans comes into play, where before the scene starts, you document, hey, we're going to be doing this scene. If you want to incorporate factors like NCSF put out, that it's like, this is the kink scene, we're going to be doing this. You're agreeing to me beating you, me spitting on you, blah, 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 with the safe word.
I've had scenes with people, very, very professional sex workers in the field for forever. They come in, they say, okay, where's your ID? I'm taking a picture of that. I'm putting it in this legal document system. Put your name here and there, and it already outlines every single thing. It's the nicest little system. Not only are you ready for taxes, but you also have your whole legal base covered. And even if someone came in to say, like, I'm not saying you need to be a sex worker to have sex, period, but it's not a bad way to do it. Imagine you roll up to a hook up, a booty call, and you're like, okay, ID please, fill this out, okay, snapshot, I now own everything that you know.
So that in terms of content you want to release, and that will help prevent consent from being revoked later. But again, be a human. If someone doesn't want the video released, don't release it.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
And then the third element of that is BDSM and kink. And again, in some jurisdictions, it doesn't matter if the person is consenting. So it will inherently be a risk to do BDSM on someone else. But you can have safeguards and try to document consent as much as possible. So I remember when I was filming for kink.com, you did the pre-interview. And it kind of, again, goes back to what NCSF is trying to do. What are we doing today? And
What's on the table? What does it look like to stop?
We're going to talk about it. Then we're going to shoot. And before you shoot, you're going to sign all the paperwork. And then after, you're going to have that exit interview, which is also going to be recorded, talking about, hey, I did this. I enjoyed doing this. I wanted to do this. This was consensual. That will help bolster your case that consent was present through the whole process.
So let me give you an example. As somebody else who's worked with kink.com. Love kink.com. Great studio. But there was definitely a director at one point in time that I worked with, never worked with again, that didn't read that little don't whisper things 'cause I know you know who it is, that didn't read that pre-scene thing and just jumped into it because they saw me, and I mean, look at me. They saw me and they're like, educated Kinkster knows what they're doing, and honestly probably just didn't care because they were working through their job. And I made noise. I didn't sue, obviously, but I was like, hey, this director didn't read the thing. I'm not in defeat, and they made me lick someone's foot for like 45 minutes. Again, no shame on the foot lovers, okay? I'm a stan over here. I get to your shrimping, get your cocktail shrimp, but I am not into it. And this guy didn't read that document. Could I have sued?
Could you have sued?
I was uncomfy. The way you had to think about that.
The quick answer is that you could always sue.
Oh, yeah,
You could
but
sue
I
about
don't know.
everything. Would
That's-
you have a successful
But
case?
that's just it. I wasn't so inconvenienced. I was just annoyed.
Yeah.
You know, so I wasn't about to like do anything bad. And I liked working with Kink. But speaking of Kink, Sparky actually asked this next question that says, CNC, yay or nay?
With CNC.
Are you kidding me? You know, CNC, yeah, you know me. No, I'm kidding. Consensual non-consent.
Oh,
Have you-
personally, for me, yeah, sure. Yes, please.
Okay, but legally, would you say CNC, yay or nay?
So I think at the end of the day, it's all harm reduction, figuring out what level of risk you're willing to take.
I would say in court, CNC, you're not going to go far with. That's kind of my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to go far. At the end of the day, when you're in court, there's a jury there, and the jury is going to get freaked out by BDSM or consensual non-consent. They're not going to
Yeah.
understand.
Because you saying that, oh, these 20 guys forced themselves on me was so, they're going to see that as them forcing themselves on you still. And they're not going to see the context of like a kinky, sexy party that you went to. Next question.
Okay.
This next one is specifically for you, Stephan,
For
and it
me.
comes from Troy, who asks, when they say approach the bench, do you bite your lip a little bit?
No.
Would you want to role play it? Okay. Approach the bench.
No. Yeah. It's so hot.
so
I want you to
bad.
consensually not consent me right now.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop. The next question from Ian is very topical considering the last couple of years of fan sites. And they ask, what are the protections for folks who engage in the porn industry, just for fans, OnlyFans, Patreon, etc., who also have other jobs? So the protections as far as Patreon, OnlyFans, and why that's legal, but porn's not, we've already kind of covered. It's because paperwork happens and all that. But what about the protections if you have a real-time job? Because I know people that have gotten fired for being found out in the past.
There really aren't that many protections. I think when you are being hired, there's two things that immediately jump out to me to look at in your contract. The first is a clause that says you're only allowed to work with this company and that you're only allowed to take other work with written consent. That could be them being like, oh, you're producing content. You didn't get our consent. We're able to terminate you. The other is contracts that have morality clauses, which is basically like,
Going against obscenity, pretty much.
it could be anything that just like reflects badly on the company at a certain particular point of time. Do you have negotiating power to do that? Probably not. So I would say proceed with caution on that one.
But also, I hope that society's gotten far enough that like people that do OnlyFans or even Patreon stuff realize that like that's because y'all ain't paying us shit, and we need a second job just to be able to like live. So again, I feel like this entire episode is like proceed with caution.
Yeah.
Be smart. Get things
that's
in writing.
general lawyer advice just across the board.
It's not safe to go alone. Here, take this contract. Next question from Buck Harder, who asks, how far does consent actually cover you in the case of mishaps or assault charges?
At the end of the day, it's your level of risk. The more consent you have documented, the better. And like we said earlier, document consent on paper, on camera, before,
they're
during,
like,
and after.
Ew. Hate it. Consent is not a defense. Never held up in court yet. Just remind you that. The next one from Natasha is getting a little strange. And they ask, what is the strangest intersection of kink and law that you've come across?
Okay, so it depends how you define strange. I've been hearing that there have been a lot of international gay boys that are getting turned away at the border. Have you heard of this?
I have. I've heard of some getting actually put in jail.
Yeah, put in jail, deported, like turned around, sent back to their country. And basically what's happening is their face is getting scanned at the border, and the scan of their face is being compared against escort websites, and then they're being denied entry based on that. And I'm not sure if it's specifically like rent men and escort website, or if it's like also porn and legal, quote unquote, sex work.
Allegedly. I'm just saying allegedly whenever we can. Allegedly.
But it's creepy. It's strange that like you could be going to a country on vacation and have an ad or a profile up there that could be tangentially related to sex work and be put in jail or denied entry to a country.
Case in point, there was a recent creator by the name of Titus who works in Singapore, and Singapore literally like told him to cease and desist, don't post more pornography on your OnlyFans. But then Titus was literally like, well, these people have prepaid multiple months for the content. It would be unethical of me to not post the content, and tried to use that in court, and it did not work out. He's currently in jail. But it's scary.
Yeah,
And
it brings
also-
up a lot of privacy issues, a lot of data protection. So, I mean, and to me is the newest strange intersection of kink in the law. Next question.
This one comes from Divik Pup, who asks, is kinky activity that leaves marks such as bruises considered assault?
Yes and no. So like we discussed earlier, difference between assault and battery. Assault, you're not actually touching someone, you're causing fear. The battery is the touching someone. So yes, causing bruises on someone.
Ow, you saw that?
The surprising thing is that you don't have to cause a bruise. The crime is committed the second the touch happens. In my research, I've seen cases where someone was charged for battery for using a riding crop, and the person had no bruises, but just the fact that he was touched with the riding crop completed the crime. And get this, the fact that he was using a riding crop elevated the crime to, I believe, like battery with a deadly weapon.
Now you're just horsing around.
No.
Nay.
Hey.
So, short answer, yes. Long answer, be careful. Next question from Andrew asks, any tips on mitigating risk from HIV criminalization during hookups or cruising?
Ooh.
That's a great question, because it is still legal for someone to be like, I had sex with them, I'm now HIV positive, even though they were being safe and they might have disclosed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to now charge them, and people have actually been put in jail.
So we're going to break this up into two different areas. The first is around HIV disclosure laws. There's a lot of jurisdictions where it is illegal not to disclose your HIV status. The other person does not have to test positive. They don't have to submit to a test even. They just have to claim that you did not disclose your status. So what's the solution to that? Disclosing your status and doing it in a way that is evidenced. So the other part of that is in regards to sex work. There's a lot of places where the crime of prostitution can be elevated because of HIV. So again, you disclosing your status may not be a good thing, because like say you get arrested in a place where it's illegal to be HIV positive and be an escort. You could probably get away with it the first time because they'll test you and you could be like, I didn't know. But I mean, if you're HIV, even if the adults are consenting, you could be charged for the elevated crime.
Scary.
Yeah, very scary. And it's something that should definitely be changed and repealed. There's no other law around any other STI that's similar.
Well, last question today comes from Ronnie, who says, what are the things to worry about if you want to open up a kinky store?
A kinky store? Oh, okay.
Like sodomy law? I mean, like for instance, some places you can't have or own more than like one sex toy or two sex toys within your household. And so that's why novelty stores are such a thing. Don't open up a sex shop, open up a novelty store. Maybe get Spencer's involved.
The thing that I would look at first I think would be very like location specific.
True. I love that you break it down before you get into it. It's so sexy when you break things down in a way that makes me so confused.
I like breaking things.
Oh.
So yeah, like look, your city or your town probably has laws that are very specific to how sex venues or sex stores can operate, how close they could be to one another, what times they're open, what products they could sell. And I mean, and that's going to inform how practical it is to open up a kinky store in your community.
Okay, now I have my own question, actually. How many illegal things have you done in your life?
Actually, you can find out by purchasing my book, Blue Movie.
Okay.
Available at unboundeditionpress.com.
Okay, Stephan, where can people find you? And then I've got one last question for you.
Sure. So I just released my first book, Blue Movie, by Unbound Edition Press. You could find me on all the socials at @BlueBaileySF. You could find me on my podcast at Reading is Fundamental Podcast. And you can find me late at night in Buena Vista Park trying to make new friends.
Okay, and you can find me everywhere at Pup Amp. Now, last question of the day, though, Stephan. What
You
is
said that
your
the
safe
last
word?
time.
What is your safe word?
What is my safe word? My safe word is Halloween ends, because that is what we're going to see right after this.
Oh,
Trauma.
Oh, trauma.
It's a movie about trauma. It's a movie about trauma. The movie is about trauma.
Stephan, thank you again for coming on today, answering some questions, and just being our legal eagle. If you guys have any more questions, though, there is a comment box down below where you can ask things. There's always the social medias to follow Stephan. Ring that bell if you like ringing bells, as Daddy would say. And don't forget to subscribe to What's a Safe Word, and we will see you all next time.
And I like compliments in the comments.
Bye. I'm going to sue, though, for that. I'm suing. I'm suing.
Copyright
I'm suing.
What's the safe word?
Make a shocked face. Wait, I feel like I have. Oh, I do. Just like.